about ready, Jane?
Jane will just start.
What's that?
Jane will just start.
You don't use them all? Let me do it.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to our service. We are the Rogue Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, or RUF, in Ashland, Oregon. I'm intern minister Eli Poore, and I serve the congregation here in RUF, as well as our UU congregations in Grants Pass and Klamath Falls as a part of the Southern Oregon Unitarian Universalist Partnership. We're so happy to welcome you to our service, both online and in person. We want to especially thank the members of our stream team who are helping make the service happen, and the members of the neighborhood team who welcome the on-site congregation and who are providing our coffee hour this morning. We invite you to sign up for our mailing list on roof.org. You'll receive a weekly email that gives you all the information you need to make your decision about whether you'd like to join us on Sunday morning on-site or online. You'll also learn about all of the great things going on here at RUF. We're so glad you're with us here for this service, and we invite you to join us in our mission, embracing diversity, empowering connection, and engaging in the work. We begin each service by acknowledging that our building is built on land that began as the home of the Cow Creek Umpqua, Takelma, Shasta, and Lagawa people. We remind ourselves that Indigenous people are a part of our communities and continue to experience the effects of colonization. We are committed to fighting for the worth and dignity of Indigenous people, both here in our community and around the world. These services are a part of that work. Welcome all, and thank you for being with us. At this time, I'd like to welcome Roof Treasurer Tom Farrell to provide an announcement and update about our ongoing pledge drive.
This is a pep talk, not an announcement. You all know we're doing a pledge drive. So while I have only been a member here at Roof for a few years, I want you to know that I've been a Unitarian Universalist, for over 30 years. And based on my own rejection of static, unyielding God, I welcomed a liberal, evolving concepts of the UU traditions. I embraced Emerson's oversoul. I readily affirmed and promoted our principles, and I received the idea of love, which now lies at our center. And so I take you there because I think love is a great place to begin talking about pledging. But love can have this vague and varied meaning that, let me get my glasses, I'll do better. That love at our symbolic center seems to invoke a celestial, ethereal quality, an agape love, perhaps. But I'm here to talk about a pledge drive, to talk about that always difficult topic, money. And I'm here to talk about love as philia, that sister and brotherhood or humanhood, which brings us daily or weekly into fellowship. While gods and goddesses might last eternal, the love we bring to this hall each Sunday needs our constant participation and effort to keep it going. And so I think the most important thing we do to keep that love flowing has nothing to do with money. And that is we show up for each other. We show up here in the service weekly as we're able, and we show up in all the things we do to keep this community going. And the second most important thing we do here also has nothing to do with money. And that is to absorb the message of our distinguished and dedicated ministry, the wisdom of this amazing faith tradition, and the blessings we receive from each other. Allow that to seep in and enrich our often busy lives, and make some time for earnest reflection. To put a value on those gifts is deeply individual, but for myself, it is great. And as your treasurer, I can place a cost on it. It takes money to keep our hardworking staff going, to keep the lights on, to maintain our presence as a beacon in the community. And just doing that has proven to be a challenge the last couple of years. Many of you are aware. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of flexibility in our bottom line, which is a line we target not just to reach, but to surpass. So in asking you for money, I have to share this about myself, that if I'd wanted to be a philanthropist of significance in my later years, I made some missteps in my earlier ones. But I love this tradition for all that it continues to give me, and I refuse to envision a community and a world without it. So I do as I am able. And I'm asking all of you to put your love into your pledge card and do as you are able. And then turn it in. There's a box in the lobby marked pledges. You can turn it in anytime there, and if you haven't turned it in by the service in 2 weeks on the 27th, it will be up front as a part of the service. So please consider all that you receive from this community and consider how you can give back. Together, we will make this happen. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Daniel Owens, and I am a member here at Roof. I'm happy to be with you this morning and to add my welcome to Eli's. I currently serve as a chaplain at Providence Hospital and also as a peer support specialist at the Addictions Recovery Center. I currently live in Medford with my wife Claire, who's here in the church, and our 6 cats. I am grateful for this fellowship for sponsoring my journey to become a nationally board certified chaplain. I'm so glad you've made time to be with us here today. We light our chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism, with words by the Reverend Amy Carroll Webb. We light this flame for the art of sacred unknowing. Humbled by all that we cannot fathom in this time, we come into the presence of what we do know. Perhaps the only thing that we can ever know, that love is now and forever, the only answer to everything and everyone in every moment.
Good morning, everybody. Next week, I hope to see all of you in hats. Right? And we're going to have an Easter hat procession. Even if you're not wearing a hat, you can process down the middle. But the choir will sing to you, and we'll have a little bit of fun. So our opening hymn this morning is in your teal hymnal. It's 1003, Where Do We Come From? And we're going to do this in some parts. So, the first 2 rows, remember you're going to be number 1. The second 2 rows, remember you're going to be number 2. And everybody back is going to be number 3. Raise your hand if you're a 1. Come on, guys. Okay. Raise your hand if you're a number 2. There you go. Okay. Raise your hand if you're a number 3. Very good. Okay, we got past the hardest part. Okay, so we're not going to do any 4s today. We're going to work up to that. So what we're going to do is ignore your number for now. Everybody together is going to sing from the very beginning to the end of the second line. Then we're going to, actually, you know what? I'm going to make it even easier. Everybody is going to sing from the beginning to the end first time so you know all your parts. Then after we do that, we're going to sing number 1. That's all you have to do is sing the one that says 1 over and over and over again. Number 2s, you sing this line, number 2, over and over again. And number 3s, you do the same, over and over again. So you sing through it once, and then you go back to your number and sing that part, just that part, over and over again. Everybody get it? Forever and ever. No. Yes, for the first time we are repeating, yeah. So if you see those 2 little dots, it means go back and sing it again. So we're going to start right at the very beginning. Here we go. Ready? Oh, shall we stand? Yeah, let's all stand. I'm like, they look too comfortable. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? You sing it again. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Now you keep going. Where do we come from? Now repeat it. Where do we come from? Keep going. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Stop there. Okay, now we're going to start with part 1ers. Here you go. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are... And keep repeating it. Number 2. Where do we come from?
Good morning. I am Bill Montfort, a member of the Anti-Racism Study Group. One of the topics we've been looking at in this study group is our own individual history of racism in our lives and in the lives of our ancestors. As many of you know, I will be moving to Amherst, Massachusetts in early June. That's a sad time for me, but a sweet time as well. I have been sorting through what I will take with me, and I came across a file that my mother had assembled of her family history, a file that I never looked at carefully. It contained letters to her great uncle, Benijah Curran, in 1865. One caught my eye. Dear sir, I sit down to ask you a few questions in regard to filling our quota at Binghamton, New York. I wish to know right on the square what they are paying for substitutes. I think I can make arrangements with a friend of mine here that has a gang of 70 darkies to induce some of them to serve their country if you can give me the necessary information how to proceed. I think it would make it profitable for both of us. I only have letters that Benijah had received, not any that he wrote, so I don't know what he said, but I do know that he did not serve in the army, so must have paid for a substitute, in his words, a darky. On my father's side of the family, his father was from a mostly agricultural town in southern New Jersey and married a woman from Richmond, Virginia. Her name was Nellie Virginia Lambeth, and she came north to live with him. I remember my grandfather as a joker, and he would make racist comments in an attempt to be funny. As a child, I was confused. I didn't take offense, but I did think that the black man named Calvin that sometimes delivered our groceries was very nice. And our black cleaning lady, Victoria, was also nice. One of the books that we read in this study group is My Grandmother's Hands by Resma Menachem. I will close with a quote from that book. History matters, and an awareness of it puts our lives into context. History lives in and through our bodies right now and in every moment.
Thank you. It is our practice each time we gather to light a candle for peace. We take this moment to call to mind our commitment to peace of mind, peace in our homes, peace in our communities, and peace in the world. Today's words are from Lara Calton. We gather today in gratitude for our many blessings, for being in community, for the tender mercies of our lives. We also ache with grief, concern, and anger about the terrible violence in the world and the human capacity to inflict harm on one another. We seek solace. We hold in our embrace those hiding in shelters and mourning the deaths of loved ones. We pray for those with the power to create peace, that they may recognize the fragile and valuable humanity of those across from them and see how we are all one. May all who seek comfort and safety find themselves in a place with no fear, and may all who suffer in pain or anger be held in gentle, loving care to ease and heal their wounds. As we seek to build beloved community and light the peace candle, may we ever be guided by our faith in the ability of love to conquer injustice and in our ability to love beyond belief.
Thank you. Now is the time for anyone that would like to come forward to hear the children's story today. Welcome people of all ages to come forward.
Children are getting really old.
Today's story is called Feeling All My Grief by Kim T.S. It's truly hard to cope when someone dear to you has died. You won't want to believe it, seeking answers far and wide. Some people want to cry it out. I felt the same way too. And when it leaves you so confused, what can you say or do? Why did they have to go and die? And are they truly gone? It's something that I can't accept. I really can't move on. Now here's a name for what we feel. This heavy weight is grief. A painful loss can dig so deep, it's hard to find relief. But grief can show its face to us in many different ways. At times you'll want to be alone and long for quiet days. Some people like to be around their family and their friends, while others try to have some fun. It really all depends. Your grief can be a mix of feelings, anger, sadness, and fear. Then worry may come knocking too, but that's all right, my dear. Now, if you feel a few of these, or even none at all, know that what you feel is valid, whether seeming big or small. Please take your time to feel it all, but look for shining rays. You'll find a light within your heart and have much brighter days. The sadness won't completely fade, yet soon you'll make some space for gratitude and happiness and love to take its place. When someone dies, it's true that things will never be the same, but if we fail to live our lives, then that would be a shame. They may be gone, but we'll make sure their memories won't fade. A part of them ignites our hearts, how strong our love was made. The simple joys can matter most, time spent with love and care. Oh, let's not focus on the end, we've moments left to share. The special journey of your life has only just begun, so come and hug me for a while. I love you, little one. And that's the end of the story. We can sing the children up.
Our reading this morning is from Joanna Ebenstein, who writes, "The mystery of death has, for millennia, led us to ask the big existential questions. Why are we here? What is the meaning of life? Why do we die? What happens after death? Do we have a soul?" After the death of a loved one, it was common in our history to observe a period of formal mourning. There were cultural guidelines for what ways and for how long to mourn, depending on your relationship with the deceased. These traditions began to erode in the early 20th century, a time marked by many other social changes. People were living longer and with a better quality of life, due to medical and hygienic advances. More and more people were dying in hospitals rather than at home. The subject of death moved from those realms to that of science and medicine. And while the scientific worldview offers a great many facts about death, it provides us with little sense of meaning. From the perspective of science, not only has death meant simply an end, but it has also commonly been seen as a failure of medical intervention rather than a meaningful rite of passage. Part of what it means to be human, part of the human condition, if you like, is to be aware that we will one day die. To be human is to be aware of and concerned with our mortality. The mystery of death has for millennia led us to ask the big existential questions. Why are we here? What is the meaning? Why do we die? What happens after? And what is the point of our existence?
Our centering song this morning is in your teal hymnal again, number 1011. And now that you're familiar with repeats, I'll just call out to you when we're going to do one. We go, ready? And return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Repeat to the beginning. Return again, return
I'd like to take a few moments now to center ourselves. Let's all take a moment to take a deep breath. If you feel comfortable and safe, go ahead and close your eyes. Otherwise, just let your gaze soften. Let's become aware of our bodies and our breath here together in this space. And as we do so, let's consider that these bodies are not permanent. All of us will die. Here are some questions to ask yourself about death. What is your earliest experience of death? How old were you? How did you feel? Was it a pet? A person? How was it talked about by your family? And what was your grieving like? In the 19th century, a good death was considered one at home and surrounded by family. What is your idea of a good death? Do you hope to die painlessly in sleep? Would you like to die in some special place? Alone or with someone or many you love? Do you believe you have a soul? And does it exist after your physical death? This ends the centering. If you'd like to return to this time and place and open your eyes again. What is the soul? One definition of the soul is that it is the spiritual or immaterial part of a human being or animal, regarded as immortal. It sometimes includes the belief that death is just one step in a soul's journey through the universe. I have wondered about the soul most of my life. Do we have a soul? And what does it look like? Does it continue after our physical death? The location of the soul has been debated throughout history with many different theories and beliefs. Many cultures believe the heart is the center of the body and the location of the soul. Some believe the brain is the location of the soul, or at least that the brain is an instrument of the soul. Others believe that the soul is spread throughout the body. Some call the soul consciousness, that part of us that defines our self, the I am, our personality, and our sacred essence. There are two areas of study that inform my growing perception of the soul: near-death experiences, called NDEs, and studies of children who seem to remember a previous life and support the idea of reincarnation. First, let us explore near-death experiences. In 1975, Dr. Raymond Moody co-authored a book called Life After Life, and it became an international bestseller. It includes histories of people who have clinically died and then come back to life. Clinical death is when our breathing stops and our heartbeat stops and blood no longer reaches our brain. And we are pronounced dead. Depending on our beliefs, the mind may stay conscious after death. Dr. Moody coined the term NDE, or near-death experience. Today, more than 10,000 cases of NDEs have been recorded and reviewed by scholars. After we die, through resuscitation, the heart can beat again and oxygen returns to the brain. After having died, we are alive again. There are some common traits that have been reported by people with near-death experience. People who have clinically died and have been brought back to life. These include an awareness of being dead, a sense of peace and well-being, painlessness and other positive emotions, a sense of removal from the world, an intense feeling of unconditional love and acceptance, and experiencing euphoric environments. An out-of-body experience, a perception of one's body from an outside position, sometimes observing medical professionals performing resuscitation efforts. And a tunnel experience, a sense of moving up or moving through a passageway. A rapid movement toward and or sudden immersion in a powerful light or beings of light, dressed in white, who communicate telepathically with the person. Being reunited with deceased loved ones and pets. Receiving a life review, commonly referred to as seeing one's life flash before one's eyes. The review displays events from the person's perspective as well as from the perspective of others involved in the incident, a kind of empathy from different perspectives. Even if mistakes in behavior are highlighted, the person is embraced in a spirit of compassion and of forgiveness. Approaching a border or a decision by oneself or with others to return to one's body, often accompanied by reluctance to return. Then suddenly finding oneself back in one's body. Connection to the cultural beliefs held by the individual, which seem to dictate some of the phenomena experienced in the near-death experience, but more so affects the later interpretation thereof. For example, a Christian might interpret spirit beings they encounter as Jesus. A Buddhist might see a Buddha. No longer being afraid of death after they've had a near-death experience, they report being more spiritual than they were before. And more connected to other people, the natural world, and the divine. The reports from people with NDEs have given me hope that part of ourselves, our souls perhaps, or individual consciousness survive after our physical death. I am amazed that people leave their bodies during near-death experiences and can see and hear things going on in the room where they are, even though that they are clinically dead. When our heart stops and blood stops bringing oxygen to the brain, our brain becomes inactive after about 20 seconds. So how are people able to have experiences when they have died and their heart has stopped and no oxygen goes to their brains? Some researchers, like Sam Parnia, are investigating brain activity during and after cardiac arrest, exploring the possibility of a surge of activity potentially related to NDEs. Consciousness, as understood by some experts, is the individual awareness of one's own thoughts, memories, feelings, sensations, and the environment, a subjective and unique experience of being. At this time, I believe that the brain does not create consciousness. Rather, consciousness is a foundational field in the universe, and our brain is able to receive some of that information from the field of consciousness and feed it to our individual consciousness. Like a TV or a radio, our mind, through our five senses, receives and collects data from the universal consciousness. If we do have a soul or consciousness that survives after death, where does it go after we die? Dr. Eben Alexander, a neurosurgeon and a near-death experiencer, writes, "My experience showed me that the death of the body and the brain are not the end of consciousness, that the human experience continues beyond the grave. More important, it continues under the gaze of a God who loves and cares about each one of us and about where the universe itself and all the beings within it are ultimately going. His near-death experience, he says, was a journey about love and about who we are and how we all are connected in the spirit of unconditional love. Dr. Alexander believes in reincarnation. Before his near-death experience, Alexander was a materialist scientist believing that NDEs were simply brain fantasies. However, his experience led him to embrace the idea of a soul, an afterlife, and a reality of the divine. Alexander's views on reincarnation are rooted in his near-death experience, where he experienced what he interpreted as a journey through different realms and a sense of interconnectedness with other souls. Alexander views reincarnation not as a cycle of suffering, but a process of growth and learning, where souls reincarnate to learn and evolve. Alexander has also explored scientific evidence for reincarnation. Including studies of past life memories in children, which he sees as supporting the idea that the mind extends beyond the brain. Other scientists, like Ian Stevenson, believe in reincarnation based on the memories of some children who remember past events in another life. Stephen was a Canadian-born American psychiatrist, the founder and the director of the Division of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia School of Medicine. He was a professor at the university for 50 years. Stevenson became known for his research into cases he considered suggestive of reincarnation. The idea that emotions, memories, and even physical bodily features can be passed on from one incarnation to another. In his 40 years of doing international field work, he researched 3,000 cases of children who claimed to remember past lives. And as they grew older, some of the memories seemed to fade. Now I'd like to share one of thousands of cases that have been researched and preserved. In Sri Lanka, a toddler one day overheard her mother mentioning the name of a nearby village. The girl informed the mother that she drowned there in that village when her mentally challenged brother pushed her into the river. That she had a bald father named Harat who sold flowers in a market near a Buddhist stupa. That she lived in a house that had a glass window in the roof, a skylight, and dogs in the backyard that were tied up and fed meat. That the house was next door to a big Hindu temple, outside of which people smashed coconuts on the ground. Dr. Stevenson was able to confirm that there was indeed a flower vendor in the small village who ran a stall near the Buddhist stupa, whose 2-year-old daughter had drowned in the river while the girl played with her mentally challenged brother. The man lived in a house where the neighbors threw meat to dogs tied up in their backyard, and it was adjacent to the main temple where devotees practiced a religion ritual of smashing coconuts on the ground. The little girl did get a few items wrong. However, for instance, the dead girl's dad wasn't bald, but her grandfather and uncle were, and his name wasn't Harat. That was the name, rather, of the dead girl's cousin. Otherwise, 27 out of the 30 idiosyncratic, verifiable statements she made panned out. The two families never met, nor did they have any friends, co-workers, or other acquaintances in common. So if you take it all at face value, the details couldn't have been acquired in any obvious way. This Sri Lankan case is one of Stevenson's case reports from all over the world. Often, Stevenson would identify an actual figure that once lived based solely on the statements given by a child. What I do believe is that of the cases we now know, reincarnation, at least for some, is the best explanation that we have been able to come up with. There is an impressive body of evidence, and it is getting stronger all the time. I think a rational person, if they want, can believe in reincarnation based on evidence. How is it possible that children have memories and details of a past life? Somehow this information is passed on through some kind of psychic phenomena, or like the Buddhist explanation of a flame passing from one candle to another. Signs of reincarnation can be found in other places too, for example, in religion. Both Buddhism and Hinduism believe in an almost endless cycle of births known as samsara. They also both seek release from the cycle of these rebirths. Hindus believe in an everlasting soul, or Atman, that is reincarnated more or less intact from birth to birth. Through spiritual practice, Hindus seek release, moksha, also known as liberation, so that the soul can join with the universal divine force, or Brahman, often simply translated as God. In Buddhism, the concept is not exactly of reincarnation, which always implies a soul, but of rebirth. This cycle is driven by karma, the principle of cause and effect, where actions and intentions in one life shape the conditions of the next life. A core Buddhist teaching is the concept of no self, or anatta. Meaning there is a permanent, unchanging soul or essence that transmigrates. Instead, consciousness and mental formations continue, but just not as a fixed entity. The ultimate goal in Buddhism is to break free from the cycle of rebirth, of samsara, and achieve enlightenment, or nirvana. This is achieved through understanding the nature of reality, cultivating wisdom, and practicing ethical conduct. In Tibetan Buddhism emphasizes the intermediate state, or bardo, between lives, which can last up to 49 days before rebirth. Currently, we don't have any way to prove that a soul exists, or how our consciousness works, or even what consciousness is. However, near-death experiences and samples of possible reincarnations spark curiosity about whether we have souls and what they are. For me, there is comfort in knowing that there may be some form of existence after death, life after death, and I may be able to continue sensing and learning in the realms of the universe and in the field of consciousness. There are researchers who are studying the brain at the time of death to see if there are any kind of activities in the brain that would explain NDEs. Perhaps NDEs and reincarnation will be better explained when our means of research grows more sophisticated. In the meantime, there is room for dreaming and for wonder. And for those of us who believe at some level that the soul exists, the fear of death is lessened, by the prospect that death may not be the end, but the start of something new and beautiful. The immensity of the universe may be closer to us than we can imagine. Thus ends the sermon. Each week we take an offering to support the mission and the work of our congregation. Your gifts are by far the most important source of support for the congregation. Your generosity is what keeps us going and helps us continue to make a difference in people's lives and in the world around us. If you are joining us online, you may see directions for giving on the screen. If you are here in the Great Hall, you can put your gift in the offering basket or scan the QR code on the back of your order of service to give electronically. We will now give and receive our morning offering. For these gifts and all the gifts you bring to this community and into this world, thank you. I would also like to add, if you need support, please contact Reverend Sean using the form on rvuuf.org, and we will do our best to help.
Thank you, Daniel. Please join me in our closing hymn today in your gray hymnal, 128, For All That Is Our Life. Please rise and body your spirit. The words of this song, which we will sing all verses, was written by a Canadian who moved to the United States reverse of what we all want to do. But anyway, moved to the United States and eventually wrote several books, including one I think is appropriate called I'm reevaluating Easter. Rethinking, that was it. I'm rethinking Easter. Anyway, all verses for All That Is Our Life. Yeah.
We end today's service with a short reading. May you go knowing we are always becoming, dying and rising again and again, reborn not apart from ourselves, but deeper into who we are, held by love, formed in community, called by justice. Go in peace, go in power, go in the turning. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
Would everyone please be seated? That was wonderful. That was wonderful. Thank you. How are you doing today? Hey. We have a salad luncheon, and everyone is welcome to stay. And the people who made the salad will be serving, so make sure you thank them, please. I would like to thank everyone that helped with setup yesterday. Thank you. A little prompting there. And also, if you would stay around to help a little bit afterwards, that would be greatly appreciated. If you like dessert and coffee and you're not going to stay, that will be over here in the gallery. Okay, we've got about 11 different salads back there. So you can start at this end or at that end. It's entirely up to you. For those of you that need gluten-free bread, that is right at the beginning of the line on this side. And if you don't need gluten-free, keep your hands off of it, okay? Thank you very much.